In the darkest corners of the galaxy, where civilizations dump their failures and cast away their broken, there exists a truth that most species refuse to acknowledge. Sometimes the most extraordinary bonds are forged not between the perfect and powerful, but between the discarded and the desperate. What happens when a dying alien warrior, abandoned by his own kind for showing too much emotion, meets a human child who sees strength where others see weakness? What happens when two outcasts discover that the universe's greatest weapon isn't technology or evolution, but the simple, revolutionary act of caring? This is the story of how a little human girl and an ancient alien wolf proved that love doesn't just conquer all. It transforms everything it touches into something the galaxy has never seen before. Some bonds are written in the stars, others are forged in the fire of two hearts, refusing to give up on each other. The rain on Kepler Station fell in sheets of recycled water that tasted of metal and despair. In the forgotten sectors where the unwanted gathered to die slowly, the sound echoed through empty corridors like the breathing of something vast and broken. Captain Zephyr Thorne pressed her face against the observation deck's grimy window, watching the drops race down the reinforced glass while her 8-year-old daughter Maya hummed softly behind her. "Mama, why do all the scary aliens live down there?" Maya asked, her small hands pressed against the same window, leaving tiny fingerprints that joined countless others left by curious children over the decades. Zephyr sighed, her breath fogging the glass. "They're not scary, sweetheart. They're just different. And sometimes different makes people afraid." The lower levels of Kepler Station housed what the Galactic Council politely termed non-integrated species, aliens whose biological or cultural traits made them unsuitable for civilized society. Down there, in the shadows between legitimate businesses and forgotten maintenance tunnels, lived the galaxy's rejects, the too violent, the too emotional, the too different. Maya's nose scrunched up the way it always did when she was thinking hard. But if they're not really scary, why doesn't anyone help them? Before Zephyr could answer, an alarm chimed softly through the station's communication system. "Attention residents! A code yellow situation has been reported in Sector 7G. Please avoid the area until further notice." Sector 7G, the dumping ground where the worst of the worst ended up. Zephyr had been stationed on Kepler for 3 years, long enough to know that Code Yellow meant someone was dying, probably violently, and nobody cared enough to do anything about it. "Mama, what's Code Yellow?" Maya's innocent question cut through Zephyr's dark thoughts. "It means someone needs help, baby. Then why aren't we helping them?" The simple question hung in the recycled air like an accusation. Zephyr knelt down to her daughter's level, looking into those bright brown eyes that hadn't yet learned to look away from suffering. "Because it's not our job, Maya. We're not security, we're not medical personnel, we're just people," Maya finished, but her tone suggested she didn't think that was a good enough reason. 2 hours later, as the station settled into its artificial night cycle, Zephyr found Maya's bed empty. The maintenance hatch in their small quarters hung open, and her daughter's pink boots were missing from their usual spot by the door. Terror flooded Zephyr's chest as she realized where Maya had gone. The maintenance tunnels that honeycombed Kepler Station were a maze of ducts, conduits, and forgotten spaces that only the smallest beings could navigate effectively. Children weren't supposed to know about them, let alone use them to reach the lower levels. But Maya had always been too clever for her own good, and too kind for her own safety. Zephyr grabbed her emergency kit and squeezed into the maintenance hatch, following the faint sound of her daughter's voice echoing through the metal arteries of the station. The sound led her down, always down, toward Sector 7G and whatever Code Yellow situation awaited there. She found them in what had once been a storage bay, now converted into a makeshift shelter that reeked of ozone and something organic and sick. Maya sat cross-legged on the metal floor, her small hands gently stroking the massive head of what could only be described as a nightmare-made flesh. The creature was enormous, easily 8 feet long, even lying on its side. Its body was covered in what looked like metallic fur that shifted from deep blue to silver in the flickering light. 4 arms ending in clawed hands were folded against its chest, and its face was distinctly wolf-like but with far too many teeth. Most terrifying of all were its eyes, large, multifaceted like an insect's, but burning with an intelligence that was utterly alien and utterly aware. It was dying. That much was obvious from the way its breathing came in shallow gasps, from the way its magnificent fur had dulled to gray, from the way its incredible eyes had lost their fire. What wasn't obvious was why Maya was sitting next to it like it was an oversized dog. "Maya," Zephyr's voice came out as a whisper. "Baby, come here." Slowly, "Mama." Maya's face lit up with joy. "Look, I found him. His name is Kalen, and he's not scary at all. He's just hurt and lonely." The creature's massive eyes shifted to focus on Zephyr, and she felt a chill run down her spine. Those eyes held depths of experience and pain that made her feel like a child herself. When it spoke, its voice was like grinding stone and distant thunder, but the words were perfectly clear. "Do not fear for your young one, human. I have no strength left to harm anyone, even if I wish to." "Which I do not." "You can talk," Zephyr breathed. A sound that might have been laughter rumbled in the creature's chest. "My people are not savage beasts, despite what your galactic council believes. We simply feel too much for their comfort." Maya's small hand continued stroking the alien's forehead, and Zephyr noticed that wherever her daughter touched, the creature's fur regained some of its luster. "He's been alone for so long, Mama." His pack threw him away because he wouldn't stop caring about things he was supposed to forget. "Your child speaks truth," Kalen said, his multifaceted eyes never leaving Zephyr's face. "I am Vorthak, a warrior caste of my people bred for battle and conquest, but I committed the ultimate sin of my kind." "Which was?" Zephyr found herself asking, despite every instinct telling her to grab Maya and run. "I mourned my enemies." The simple statement hung in the air like a confession. Zephyr sank down beside her daughter, studying this impossible creature that had somehow captured Maya's fierce little heart. After each battle, Kalen continued, "I would remember those I had killed, their names, their faces, their final words. I would honor them in the way of their own peoples, not ours. My pack called it weakness. My leaders called it madness. They said I had become too human in my thinking." "Too human?" "Your species has a reputation, Captain Thorn. You mourn your enemies. You save your wounded opponents. You show mercy where logic dictates strength. The galaxy considers these traits to be dangerous mental illness." Maya looked up at her mother with those earnest brown eyes. "But they're not sick, are they, Mama? Being sad when people die isn't sick." Zephyr's throat felt tight. "No, baby. It's not sick I have been exiled here for 7 of your years," Kalen said, living on scraps and charity from other outcasts, watching my body slowly fail without the pack bonds that sustain my people. I was content to die forgotten. "But then Maya found you. But then Maya found me," he confirmed, and something in his massive eyes brightened. "She sat with me. She spoke to me of her world, of her mother who helps keep this station running, of her dreams to see the stars beyond these walls. She shared her food rations and her water. She asked me about my home. And nobody had done that before? In 7 years, you are the first beings to enter this place who did not come to mock or steal from the dying alien." Zephyr watched her daughter's small hands working gently through Kalen's fur, watched the way his breathing seemed to grow stronger wherever she touched. "Maya, what are you doing?" "I'm not really sure," Maya admitted. "But when I touch him, he feels warmer, and his colors get brighter." "Is that weird?" It was weird. It was impossible. Humans didn't have healing powers, and they certainly didn't have any documented effect on alien physiology, but Zephyr could see with her own eyes that Maya's touch was somehow affecting Kalen's condition. "Your daughter has a gift," Kalen said softly. "Among my people, there are legends of beings who can share their life force with others. We call them heart-bonded, those who can forge connections that transcend species and biology. I thought they were myths. You think Maya is one of these, heart-bonded. I think your daughter saved my life tonight, not just from death but from the despair that was consuming me. For the first time in years, I feel hope. Maya beamed up at them both. Does this mean we can keep him? The question was so innocently asked that Zephyr almost laughed, despite the impossibility of their situation. Sweetheart, Kalen isn't a pet. He's a person. I know that, Maya said, with the exaggerated patience of a child explaining something obvious to a slow adult. But he doesn't have anywhere to go, and we have lots of room in our quarters now that Daddy's ship left for the Outer Rim. Zephyr's heart clenched. Maya's father was a freight captain who visited Kepler Station maybe twice a year. His latest departure 3 months ago had hit Maya particularly hard, and Zephyr had been struggling to fill the gap his absence left in their daughter's life. Maya, I don't think... Please, Mama. Maya's voice took on that earnest quality that always made Zephyr's resolve crumble. He's been alone for so long, and he's not dangerous. Look. To Zephyr's horror, Maya stood up and crawled directly onto Kalen's massive chest, curling up against him like he was an oversized stuffed animal. The alien's 4 arms moved with surprising gentleness, forming a protective cage around the little girl without actually touching her. I would die before allowing harm to come to one who has shown me such kindness, Kalen rumbled. Your daughter has given me something I thought was lost forever. What's that? A reason to live. Zephyr stared at this impossible scene, her 8-year-old daughter sleeping peacefully on the chest of an exiled alien warrior in the depths of a space station's forgotten levels. Every rational part of her mind screamed that this was dangerous, that she should take Maya and run, that aliens like Kalen were exiled for good reasons. But Maya's small hand was still glowing with that strange warmth, and Kalen's eyes held a gentleness she'd never seen in any of the station's other residents. More than that, they held gratitude so profound it made her chest ache. If you come with us, Zephyr heard herself saying, you'd have to follow station regulations. You'd have to register as a dependent, submit to medical examinations, follow human customs. I would do all of this and more. And if Maya gets tired of you, or if this bonding thing stops working, then I will leave quietly with nothing but gratitude for the time I was shown such kindness. Zephyr looked down at her daughter, who had somehow developed the ability to heal alien warriors with her touch, who had somehow convinced her mother to adopt a creature that could probably tear apart a squad of security guards without breaking a sweat. Maya, wake up. We need to go home. Maya stirred, blinking sleepily. Are we taking Kalen with us? Zephyr sighed, knowing she was probably making the biggest mistake of her life. Yes, sweetheart, we're taking Kalen with us. The joy that lit up Maya's face was worth whatever bureaucratic nightmare was about to descend on them. And when Kalen slowly, carefully lifted himself to his feet, moving with the fluid grace of a born predator despite his obvious weakness, Zephyr felt something shift in her understanding of the universe. Maybe the Galactic Council was wrong about emotional aliens. Maybe the galaxy was wrong about humans too. Maybe caring wasn't a weakness at all. Maybe it was the strongest force in the universe. As they made their way through the maintenance tunnels toward the upper levels, Maya chattering excitedly about all the things she wanted to show Kalen, Zephyr caught sight of her reflection in a polished section of ductwork. She looked tired, worried, and completely out of her depth. She also looked like a mother who was about to give her daughter the universe. Behind them, Kalen moved like a shadow, his massive form somehow managing to navigate the narrow passages with surprising grace. His multifaceted eyes swept constantly, watching for threats, protecting his new pack with the instincts of a born warrior. Ahead of them, Maya hummed the same tune she'd been humming earlier, but now it sounded different. Now it sounded like hope. The artificial rain continued to fall against the station's windows as they climbed toward home, washing away the grime and revealing the stars beyond. The morning shift change on Kepler Station brought with it the familiar symphony of artificial gravity adjustments, recycling system cycling, and the distant hum of the station's massive engines keeping them in stable orbit. Zephyr woke to find Maya already awake, sitting cross-legged on the floor of their main living area, deep in conversation with Kalen. The alien warrior had spent the night in what used to be their storage alcove, his massive frame somehow fitting into the space with careful positioning of his forearms and legs. In the soft morning light filtering through their small viewport, his metallic fur had regained much of its luster, shifting from deep blue to silver as he moved. "Mama," Maya called out when she noticed Zephyr stirring. "Kalen was telling me about his homeworld. It has 3 suns, and the trees are made of crystal." "The trees are not precisely made of crystal," Kalen corrected gently, his voice less strained than it had been the night before. "They have crystalline bark that stores energy from our 3 stars. My people originally evolved to live in harmony with these energy-storing forests." Zephyr sat up slowly, still not quite believing their new reality. "How are you feeling?" "Better than I have in years," Kalen admitted. "Your daughter's gift is remarkable. I can feel strength returning to my body, but more than that, I can feel the pack bond forming. It is unlike anything I have experienced before." "Pack bond?" Zephyr reached for her morning coffee, grateful for the familiar ritual. Maya bounced excitedly. "It means we're family now. Not just human family, but real family. Kalen can feel when I'm happy or sad or scared, and I can feel when he's feeling things too. It's amazing. It is not uncommon among my people," Kalen explained. "Warriors who fight together often develop such bonds. But this is the first time I have experienced it with another species. The sensation is profound." A sharp chime from their door unit interrupted the conversation. Zephyr's blood ran cold as she recognized the specific pattern. Official station business. "Captain Thorne," came the voice of Station Administrator Chen through the intercom. "Please report to Administrative Level 12 for immediate processing of your situation." Zephyr closed her eyes. She'd known this was coming but had hoped for more time. "Maya, stay here with Kalen. I need to go deal with the bureaucracy." "I will guard her with my life," Kalen said simply, and Zephyr realized with a start that he meant it literally. Administrative Level 12 was a sterile maze of offices and waiting areas where station residents dealt with everything from work assignments to citizenship applications. Zephyr had been here many times in her 3 years on Kepler, but never with the sick feeling of dread that accompanied her today. Administrator Chen was waiting in Conference Room C along with 2 people Zephyr didn't recognize. A thin, pale man in Galactic Council robes and a woman wearing the dark blue uniform of station security. "Captain Thorne," Chen said without preamble, "this is Counselor Vex from the Galactic Integration Authority and Security Chief Martinez. We need to discuss your acquisition. From last night? Acquisition?" Zephyr sat down in the chair across from them, keeping her voice level. "You mean Kalen? The Vorthak male?" "Yes," Counselor Vex said, consulting a datapad. "Our records indicate that this individual was exiled from his species for psychological instability and violent tendencies. He has been classified as a Category 5 unintegrated alien." "What does that mean?" Security Chief Martinez leaned forward. "It means he's considered extremely dangerous. Category 5 UAs are supposed to be contained in secure facilities, not living in family quarters with young children." "Have you met Kalen?" Zephyr asked. "Have you spoken with him?" "That's not necessary," Counselor Vex said dismissively. "The Vorthak Collective provided detailed psychological profiles when they exiled him. The individual shows excessive emotional attachment, inability to follow combat protocols, and dangerous levels of empathy. These traits make him unsuitable for any form of social integration." Zephyr felt anger building in her chest. "So you're telling me that being empathetic is a disqualifying mental illness?" For his species, the Vorthak are one of our most effective military allies precisely because they don't form emotional attachments that compromise their effectiveness. This individual's condition makes him unpredictable and potentially dangerous. "He saved my daughter's life last night," Zephyr said firmly. "She wandered into the lower levels and found him dying. Instead of harming her, he protected her, and somehow she was able to heal him." The 3 officials exchanged glances. "Heal him?" Chen asked. some kind of biological connection. She touches him and his condition improves dramatically. According to Kalen, it's something called a heart bond. Counselor Vex's pale face went even paler. Heart bonds are mythological constructs. There's no scientific evidence for such phenomena. Then how do you explain the fact that he's gone from dying to fully functional in less than 12 hours? Vorthak physiology is not well understood, Security Chief Martinez said. It could be any number of factors, or it could be exactly what he said it was, Zephyr shot back. A connection that transcends species barriers. Even if such a thing were possible, Counselor Vex said, it would be all the more reason to separate them immediately. Uncontrolled xenobiological connections could be extremely dangerous. Dangerous to whom? To your daughter, Captain Thorne, to the station, to the delicate balance of interspecies relations that the Galactic Council has spent centuries building. Zephyr stared at them, realization dawning. You're not worried about danger. You're worried about precedent. You're worried about what happens when people realize that the aliens you've labeled as too emotional might actually be more evolved than the rest of us. That's enough, Administrator Chen said sharply. Captain Thorne, you have two options. You can voluntarily surrender the Vorthak to secure containment, or we can invoke emergency protocols and remove him by force. And if I refuse both options, then you and your daughter will be relocated off-station within 24 hours. Kepler Station was their home. More than that, it was one of the few places in the galaxy where a single human mother could make a decent living and provide her daughter with a safe environment. Getting kicked off Kepler would mean taking whatever transport work they could find, probably on ships that wouldn't welcome children. But as she sat there, looking at these bureaucrats who wanted to tear her family apart before it had even had a chance to form, Zephyr realized something crucial. Maya had been right the night before. Being sad when people die isn't sick. And neither is caring about someone others have thrown away. I need 24 hours to consider my options, she said finally. You have 6 hours, Counselor Vex said. This situation needs to be resolved before the next shift change. Zephyr walked back to her quarters in a daze, her mind spinning through possibilities and finding dead ends at every turn. How do you fight a bureaucracy that has all the power? How do you protect someone the entire galaxy has decided doesn't deserve protection? She found Maya and Kalen exactly where she'd left them, but now they were working on some kind of art project. Maya was drawing with her stylus pad while Kalen watched with fascination. What are you making, baby? It's our family, Maya said proudly, showing her mother the drawing. 3 stick figures stood in front of a house-like shape that was obviously meant to be their quarters. One figure had long hair like Zephyr's, one was small like Maya, and one was much larger with what looked like extra arms. This is me, this is you, and this is Kalen. We're holding hands. In the drawing, all 3 figures were indeed connected by a line that Maya had colored in bright gold. Maya Zephyr said carefully, some people are saying that Kalen can't stay with us. Maya's face fell. But why? They think he might be dangerous. That's stupid, Maya said with the blunt honesty of childhood. Kalen couldn't hurt anybody, right, Kalen? The alien warrior was studying Maya's drawing with an expression of wonder. I have never seen myself depicted in such a way, he said softly. Among my people, we do not create art for pleasure. Everything we make must have a tactical purpose. But art is important, Maya insisted. It shows how you feel about things. Yes, Kalen agreed. I am beginning to understand this. Your species creates beauty simply because beauty has value. This is another thing my people would consider weakness. Zephyr sat down beside them, looking at her daughter's simple drawing and feeling her heart break. Maya, if Kalen had to go away, would you understand? No, Maya said firmly. He's family now. Families don't give up on each other. Sometimes grown-ups make it so families have to be separated. Then the grown-ups are wrong. Kalen's multifaceted eyes focused on Zephyr with sudden intensity. What did the authorities decide? They want to take you to a secure facility. If I refuse, Maya and I get kicked off the station. Kalen was quiet for a long moment, his 4 hands carefully folding Maya's drawing. "Then I will go." "No!" Maya jumped up, grabbing onto one of Kalen's massive arms. "You can't go!" "We just found each other." "Little Star," Kalen said gently, using what Zephyr realized was a nickname he'd given Maya, "I will not be the cause of harm to you and your mother, but you'll die without us," Maya said, tears streaming down her face. "I can feel it through our bond. You need us as much as we need you." Kalen's composure cracked, and for the first time since meeting him, Zephyr saw raw emotion on his alien features. "Perhaps it would be better if I did die. I have been nothing but trouble for those who try to help me." "That's not true," Zephyr heard herself saying. "Maya is happier than she's been since her father left. And watching the two of you together, it's shown me something I didn't know I was missing." "What is that?" "Hope. For the first time in months, I feel like we're not just surviving anymore. We're building something better." Maya wiped her nose on her sleeve, leaving her face streaky but determined. "Mama, what if we left the station?" "Sweetheart, we can't just—" "No, listen. What if we left and found a place where families like ours are okay? There have to be other places, right? Places where they don't care if you're human or Vorthak or whatever as long as you're good to each other?" Zephyr stared at her daughter, amazed once again by the 8-year-old's ability to cut straight to the heart of things. "Maya, there's no guarantee we could find work elsewhere. No guarantee we could find anywhere safe to live. But staying here isn't safe either," Maya pointed out. "Not if they're going to keep trying to take Kalen away." Kalen's breathing had grown shallow again, and Zephyr realized that the stress of their conversation was affecting his physical condition. Maya noticed it too, immediately moving to place her hands on his chest. The golden warmth of their bond flowed visibly through her palms, and Kalen's breathing steadied. "You see?" Maya said. "We're stronger together, all of us." A new voice interrupted their family meeting. "Excuse me," came a call from outside their quarters. "Is this the Thorn residence?" Zephyr opened a door to find a small group of aliens she didn't recognize. A tall, crystalline being that seemed to be made of living gemstone. A creature that looked like a cross between a butterfly and a tree. And something that might have been a sentient cloud of gas held together by a containment suit. "We are sorry to intrude," the crystalline being said in a voice like wind chimes. "We heard about your situation with the Vorthak warrior. How did you—" "Word travels quickly in the lower levels," the butterfly tree creature explained. "We wanted to offer our assistance—" "I don't understand." The gas being's translator unit crackled to life. "We are all exiles here, all judged unfit for integration into galactic society for various reasons. But we have learned to form our own community, our own support systems. What we're saying," the crystalline being continued, "is that you are not alone in this. If you choose to leave Kepler Station, there are places that would welcome your unique family." Maya's eyes lit up. "Really? Places where nobody would try to take Kalen away?" "There are frontier settlements, research stations, independent colonies," the butterfly tree said. "Places where people judge others by their actions, not their species classification." Kalen struggled to sit up straighter. "You would help us find such a place?" "We already have," the gas being said. "There is a research station called Harmony Point, 3 days' travel from here. They specialize in studying interspecies cooperation and bonding phenomena. They would be fascinated by what you three have achieved." Zephyr felt a spark of something she hadn't experienced in years. Genuine excitement about the future. "And they would hire a human freight captain?" "They are always in need of supply runs and transport services," the crystalline being confirmed. "And they have excellent educational facilities for young humans." Maya was practically vibrating with excitement. "Mama, can we? Please?" Zephyr looked around their small quarters, thinking about the life they'd built here, the safety and routine they'd be giving up. Then she looked at Maya's radiant face and Kalen's hopeful eyes, and realized that some things were more important than safety and routine. Some things were worth fighting for. Some things were worth taking risks for. "Okay," she said, "let's do it." The celebration that erupted in their quarters was unlike anything Kepler Station had ever heard. Maya's delighted laughter mixed with Kaylin's deep rumbling chuckle and the various sounds of joy from their new alien friends. Even Zephyr found herself laughing despite the magnitude of what they were about to attempt. They had 3 hours to pack their lives and escape before the authorities came to separate their family forever. But for the first time since meeting Kaylin, Zephyr wasn't afraid. They were going to make it, all of them together. The next 2 hours passed in a blur of careful planning and desperate preparation. Their new alien allies had disappeared as quickly as they'd arrived, but not before providing detailed instructions for reaching Docking Bay 94, where a ship called the Wandering Star would be waiting to take them to Harmony Point. Zephyr, packed with the efficiency of someone who'd spent years moving from station to station, folding their lives into portable containers. Maya helped by carefully wrapping her most treasured belongings while maintaining constant physical contact with Kaylin, whose condition seemed to fluctuate based on their proximity to each other. Mama, Maya said as she tucked her collection of star charts into a protective case, "What if they catch us before we get to the ship?" "They won't," Zephyr said with more confidence than she felt. "We're going to use the maintenance tunnels you discovered. Station security doesn't patrol those areas regularly." Kaylin, who had been quietly observing their preparations, spoke up. "If we are discovered, I will delay any pursuit. You and Maya must reach the ship." "We all reach the ship," Maya said firmly. "That's the whole point of being a family." The alien warrior's expression softened. "Little star, I am trained for combat situations. If it becomes necessary to..." "No." Maya's voice carried surprising authority for an 8-year-old. "We promised each other no one gets left behind." Zephyr watched this exchange with growing amazement. In less than 24 hours, her daughter had somehow managed to civilize a warrior bred for violence, while that same warrior had given Maya a sense of protection and belonging she'd been missing since her father's latest departure. Whatever the Galactic Council thought about their bond, it was clearly transforming all three of them in profound ways. A soft chime from Zephyr's personal communicator made them all freeze. Administrator Chen's face appeared on the small screen, his expression grim. "Captain Thorne, you have 1 hour remaining to make your decision. Please report to Administrative Level 12 immediately." Zephyr muted the communicator without responding. "That's our cue. Time to go." The maintenance tunnels that had seemed cramped the night before now felt like lifelines. Maya led the way with the confidence of someone who'd mapped every inch of the passages, while Kaylin brought up the rear, moving with surprising stealth for something his size. Zephyr carried their essential belongings in a single bag, having learned long ago that anything you couldn't carry yourself wasn't really essential. They were halfway to the lower docking levels when the station's general alarm began to sound. 3 short blasts followed by a pause, repeated continuously. Zephyr's heart sank as she recognized the pattern. "Security lockdown," she whispered. "They know we're gone." Through the thin walls of the maintenance tunnel, they could hear the thunder of security personnel moving through the main corridors, their heavy boots marking time like a countdown to capture. Maya pressed closer to Kaylin, whose massive frame somehow managed to fit through passages that seemed too small for him. "How much further?" Zephyr asked. 10 minutes if we don't have to hide," Maya replied. 20 if we do." A new sound joined the security patrol footsteps, the high-pitched whine of sensor drones being deployed. Zephyr closed her eyes, realizing their situation had just become much more dangerous. Sensor drones could detect life signs through the station's bulkheads, which meant their hiding place in the maintenance tunnels wouldn't protect them for long. "They're scanning for us," she told the others. "I can deal with the drones," Kaylin said quietly. "How?" "Worthak warriors are trained to mask our biological signatures. I can extend that masking to both of you, but only if we maintain physical contact." Maya immediately grabbed one of Kaylin's massive hands with both of her small ones. Zephyr hesitated for just a moment before taking hold of his wrist. The moment her skin made contact with his metallic fur, she felt a strange tingling sensation, as if every cell in her body was shifting frequency. "Incredible," she breathed. "I can feel it working." "The masking will hold as long as we maintain contact," Kaylin explained. "But it requires significant energy." We must move quickly. They made their way through the remaining tunnels in a strange chain, Maya leading while holding Kalen's hand, Zephyr bringing up the rear while gripping his wrist. The sensation of the biological masking was unlike anything Zephyr had experienced, like being wrapped in a blanket of static electricity that somehow made her feel invisible. Outside their metal cocoon, the sounds of the search continued. Security teams called to each other in sharp professional voices. Sensor drones hummed past their hiding spots, their scanners somehow unable to detect the masked family moving through the station's arteries. They reached a docking bay 94 just as the station's lights shifted to emergency mode, harsh red illumination that cast everything in ominous shadows. The bay was smaller than the main commercial docks, obviously intended for private vessels and maintenance craft. And there, sitting like an answered prayer, was the Wandering Star. The ship was unlike anything Zephyr had ever seen. It appeared to be constructed from materials representing dozens of different worlds and cultures, metallic hull sections that shimmered with alien alloys, organic-looking growths that might have been bioengineered components, crystalline viewing ports that refracted light in impossible colors. It looked less like a single ship than like a community that happened to travel through space together. "Beautiful," Maya whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. A boarding ramp lowered from the ship's side, and 3 figures emerged to meet them. Zephyr recognized 2 of them as the crystalline being and the butterfly tree creature from earlier. The third was new, a humanoid figure in an environmental suit that completely concealed their features. "Quickly," the crystalline being called softly. "Security will expand their search to the docking bays within minutes." They broke their chain formation and ran for the ship, Kalen moving with fluid grace despite his size. As they reached the boarding ramp, the environmental-suited figure stepped forward to meet them. "Welcome aboard the Wandering Star," the figure said in a voice that was definitely human. "I'm Captain Elena Vasquez. We've prepared quarters for your family." Family. The word hit Zephyr like a warm wave. This stranger, who had never met them before, automatically accepted that a human mother, her daughter, and an exiled alien warrior constituted a family unit. "Thank you," Zephyr managed. "We don't have much to offer in return for passage." "You've already given us something invaluable," Captain Vasquez replied as they climbed the ramp. "Hope. Hope. What you 3 have accomplished. A true interspecies bond that transcends biological barriers. It represents everything we've been working toward. Every exile, every outcast, every being who's been told they're too different to belong. You've proven that connection is possible." The interior of the Wandering Star was even more remarkable than its exterior. The corridors were wide enough to accommodate beings of various sizes, with environmental controls that seemed to automatically adjust for different atmospheric preferences. The walls were lined with artwork representing dozens of cultures, and the soft lighting came from bioluminescent panels that pulsed gently like a living heartbeat. "How many people live here?" Maya asked, staring around in wonder. 47 beings from 23 different worlds," Captain Vasquez replied. "All of us exiled or rejected by mainstream galactic society for various reasons. We've learned to build our own community among the stars." She led them to a suite of interconnected rooms that had been hastily but thoughtfully prepared for their arrival. The furniture was modular and adjustable, clearly designed to accommodate different body types and sizes. A large viewport showed the stars beyond, and Maya immediately pressed her face against the transparent aluminum, watching the distant suns wheel slowly past. "The voyage to Harmony Point will take 3 days," Captain Vasquez explained. "We'll be jumping to hyperspace as soon as we clear Kepler Station's gravity well. I suggest you rest until then." As if summoned by her words, the ship's subtle vibration changed, indicating they were beginning their departure sequence. Through the viewport, Zephyr watched the familiar bulk of Kepler Station falling away beneath them, its lights growing smaller and more distant. "Any regrets?" Kalen asked quietly. Zephyr looked around their new quarters, watching Maya explore every corner with delight, while Kalen stood guard by the viewport like a protector watching over his domain. "None at all." The ship shuddered slightly as they engaged their faster-than-light drive, and suddenly the stars outside shifted from points of light to streaming lines of color. They were officially free of Kepler Station's jurisdiction, officially beyond the reach of the Galactic Council's bureaucracy. "Mama," Maya called from across the room, "come look at this." Zephyr joined her daughter at what appeared to be an interactive wall display showing the ship's current location and destination. But what caught her attention wasn't the navigation information. It was the way Maya's hand left a faint golden glow wherever she touched the controls. "Maya, what did you just do?" "I'm not sure," Maya said, her brow furrowed in concentration, "but I can feel the ship's systems, like how I can feel Kalen's life force, but different, bigger." Captain Vasquez appeared in their doorway, her face amazed behind her environmental suit's faceplate. "The ship's efficiency ratings just improved by 15% across all systems," she announced. "What did your daughter do?" "I think," Kalen said slowly, "that little star's gift extends beyond healing individual beings. She can bond with any living system." "Living system?" "The Wandering Star isn't just a ship built from different technologies," Captain Vasquez explained. "It's a symbiotic organism created by merging organic and mechanical components. In a very real sense, it's alive." Maya's face lit up with understanding. "So I can make it feel better just like I did with Kalen?" "It appears so. But Maya, you need to be careful. Different systems might react differently to your gift." "I'll be careful," Maya promised. "But I can feel that the ship is happy we're here. It's been lonely carrying people who can't connect with it the way we can." Zephyr felt a chill run down her spine. If Maya could bond with living ships, if she could improve their performance by touch, what did that mean for their future? What did that mean for the galaxy's understanding of human potential? As if reading her thoughts, Kalen placed one of his massive hands gently on her shoulder. "The gift that saved my life may be far more significant than any of us realized," he said softly. "Maya may be the key to bridging the gap between all the species the galaxy has labeled as incompatible." "That's a lot of pressure for an 8-year-old, Zephyr murmured. "Then it's fortunate that she won't face it alone." Outside their viewport, hyperspace flowed past like a river of liquid starlight, carrying them toward a future none of them could have imagined just days before. But whatever that future held, they would face it together, as a family. Later that evening, as Maya slept peacefully between her mother and her adopted alien guardian, Captain Vasquez stood on the Wandering Star's bridge, monitoring their progress toward Harmony Point. The ship's efficiency continued to improve hour by hour, as if Maya's brief contact had awakened something in its organic systems that had been dormant for years. Her communications officer, a methane-breathing crystalline, turned to her with excitement in his translated voice. "Captain, we're receiving transmission from Harmony Point. They're extremely interested in meeting our passengers." "Of course they are," Captain Vasquez replied. "A human child who can bond with alien life forms, heal terminal conditions, and improve ship performance with her touch? She represents every hope the research station has ever had about interspecies cooperation. Should we relay the information to Captain Thorne?" "Not yet. Let them rest. Tomorrow will bring enough challenges." Through the bridge's main viewport, the stars streamed past like tears of joy, carrying the Wandering Star and its precious cargo toward their new home among the outcasts and dreamers of Harmony Point. And in their quarters, 3 very different beings dreamed the same dream, of a galaxy where being different wasn't a crime, where caring wasn't weakness, and where family meant anyone who refused to let you face the universe alone. Harmony Point appeared through the viewport like a flower made of light and metal, blooming in the void between 2 binary stars. The research station was enormous, easily 10 times larger than Kepler's station. But where Kepler had been built for efficiency and containment, Harmony Point seemed designed for beauty and wonder, spiraling, arms extended from a central hub like the petals of some cosmic flower, each one glowing with different colored lights that shifted and pulsed in complex patterns. "It's beautiful," Maya breathed, pressing her face against the viewport as the Wandering Star approached the docking procedures. "It's home," Captain Vasquez said from behind them, having come to personally oversee their arrival, "or it will be if you choose to stay." Zephyr studied the station's unusual architecture, noting how the different sections seemed to accommodate wildly different atmospheric and gravitational requirements. How many species live here? Currently, 47 different kinds of beings from 31 different worlds. But the number changes constantly as new researchers arrive and others move on to new projects. Kalen stood silently beside Maya, his multifaceted eyes taking in every detail of their new potential home. And they will not attempt to separate our family? Quite the opposite, Captain Vasquez assured him. Harmony Point was founded specifically to study successful interspecies cooperation. Your bond with Maya and Zephyr will be of tremendous interest to the researchers here. As long as they understand we're not laboratory specimens, Zephyr said firmly. They understand completely. Many of them are refugees themselves, scientists and researchers who were exiled from their home worlds for studying forbidden topics like emotional intelligence in supposedly non-emotional species, or cooperative bonding between natural enemies. The docking procedure was unlike anything Zephyr had experienced. Instead of the standard mechanical clamps and airlocks, Harmony Point used what appeared to be organic docking tendrils that gently embraced the wandering star and drew it into a bay that resembled the inside of a massive flower. As they settled into place, the bay filled with atmosphere automatically adjusted to their ship's environmental requirements. Bioengineered docking systems, Captain Vasquez explained. Developed by a team of Zeratai botanists who were exiled for suggesting that plants might be sentient. The system recognizes each ship's needs and adapts accordingly. Maya clapped her hands in delight. The whole station is alive! Parts of it, yes. Other sections are purely mechanical. The beauty of Harmony Point is that it demonstrates how different approaches to technology and life can work together. The welcoming committee that met them at the airlock was unlike anything Zephyr had ever seen. The group included what looked like a walking tree with crystalline leaves, a being that appeared to be made of shifting geometric patterns, something that resembled a cross between a dolphin and a butterfly, and a human woman who couldn't have been much older than Zephyr herself. The human stepped forward with a warm smile. "Welcome to Harmony Point. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen, the station's director of xenobiological studies. We've heard remarkable things about your family." Maya peeked out from behind Kalen's massive form, then stepped forward with the courage that had led her to befriend an alien warrior in the first place. "Are you going to study us like we're bugs?" Dr. Chen laughed, a sound full of genuine warmth. "Only if you want to be studied. We've learned that the most important research happens when beings feel safe and valued, not when they feel like specimens." The tree being rustled its crystalline leaves and spoke in a voice like wind through chimes. "We would be honored to learn from your experiences, but only as much as you choose to share." "This is Silverleaf," Chen explained. "They're studying the biological mechanisms behind interspecies emotional bonding. Their own species was nearly destroyed by a plague that only empathic connections could cure." Kalen stepped forward, inclined his head respectfully.
"I am Kalen of the Vorthak."
"These are my bonded family members, Zephyr and Maya Thorn." The geometric pattern being shifted its configurations, and what Zephyr realized was probably their equivalent of a bow. "I am Prism of the Axiarch Collective. We study cooperative problem-solving across species barriers. Your bond represents a breakthrough in our understanding." "What kind of breakthrough?" Zephyr asked. "Traditional galactic science insists that meaningful cooperation can only occur between species with similar evolutionary backgrounds," Dr. Chen explained. "Your family proves that bonds can form across any biological barrier when there's sufficient emotional openness." Maya tugged on Zephyr's sleeve. "Mama, can we see where we're going to live?" "Of course, sweetheart." "Dr. Chen, about our living arrangements. We've prepared quarters in Section 7. Dr. Chen?" Chen said. "It's our newest residential area, designed specifically for mixed-species families. The environmental controls can adapt to different atmospheric needs. The furniture is fully modular, and there are educational facilities for young beings of all types."
As they made their way through Harmony Point's corridors, Zephyr was struck by the station's incredible diversity.
Beings she couldn't begin to categorize moved past them with friendly nods and waves. Children, if that was the right word, of various species played together in open areas under the watchful eyes of equally diverse adults. The air itself seemed to shimmer with different atmospheric compositions, creating microenvironments that supported radically different life forms within the same space. "How do you make it work?" Zephyr asked. "All these different species, different needs, different cultures?" "The same way your family makes it work," Silverleaf replied, their leaves chiming softly. By choosing to see differences as strengths rather than problems to be solved, their quarters in Section 7 exceeded every expectation. The main living area was spacious and bright with furniture that could be reconfigured for beings of any size. Maya's room connected directly to the main area but had its own environmental controls and a viewport that showed the binary stars they orbited. Kalen's space was designed for a being who needed room to move, with high ceilings and reinforced flooring. But what impressed Zephyr most was how natural it all felt. Despite the advanced technology and alien design elements, the space felt like home. "There's something else, Dr. Chen said as they finished their tour. "We'd like to offer you work, Captain Thorne, if you're interested." "What kind of work?" "Harmony Point maintains a small fleet of transport ships for research expeditions and supply runs. We've been looking for someone with your experience to lead our logistics operation." Zephyr felt a surge of excitement. "You'd trust me with that kind of responsibility?" "You've successfully bonded with an exiled alien warrior and raised a daughter who can heal with her touch," Prism said, their geometric patterns shifting to warm colors. "I'd say you're overqualified for logistics management." Maya had wandered over to one of the room's biotech interfaces, a living wall panel that glowed softly with bioluminescent patterns. As she placed her hands on its surface, the entire room's lighting shifted to a warmer, more welcoming hue. "Maya," Zephyr called softly. "What are you doing?" "I'm introducing myself to our new home," Maya replied with perfect 8-year-old logic. "It wanted to know who we were, so I'm showing it." Dr. Chen's eyes widened. "The quarters are equipped with adaptive AI systems that learn residents' preferences over time. It usually takes weeks for them to optimize for new occupants." "Maya doesn't work on usual timelines," Kalen said with what Zephyr was learning to recognize as his version of amusement. As if to prove his point, Maya moved to another interface panel, and suddenly the room's air circulation adjusted to create gentle breezes that somehow managed to be perfect for both human and Vorthak comfort simultaneously. "Incredible," Silverleaf whispered. "She's not just bonding with the station, she's teaching it to bond with all of you." "Is that safe?" Zephyr asked, worried about her daughter's tendency to connect with alien systems. "Safer than you might think, Doc," Chen assured her. "Harmony Point's biotech was designed to be cooperative rather than controlling. Maya's gift seems to be awakening capabilities that were always intended to exist." Over the next few hours, as they settled into their new home, Zephyr watched her unusual family adapt to their new environment with growing amazement. Maya made friends with the station's AI systems, causing improvements and optimizations wherever she went. Kalen met with Silverleaf and the other researchers, sharing insights about Vorthak biology and culture that had never been recorded in galactic databases. And Zephyr found herself in conversations with Dr. Chen about transport logistics that were unlike anything she'd experienced in her freight-hauling career. "The work we do here requires supply runs to worlds that most commercial carriers won't visit," Dr. Chen explained. "Quarantine systems, politically unstable regions, planets that have been written off by the Galactic Council. We need someone who can navigate not just space, but bureaucracy." "I've done my share of difficult runs," Zephyr said, "but what you're describing sounds like it could be dangerous. Old and unwanted. The alien wolf no one wanted, until a human girl rescued it." HFY Sci-Fi.